Captain Hyundai stood on the bridge of the Taiguk and looked at the blue planet below. New Jeju was beautiful. It had water, forests, and air that humans could breathe. After 3 years of travel from Earth, his crew had finally found a new home. 2,000 colonists were already building the first settlement on the surface. Everything was going according to plan. Then the alarms started screaming. "Captain, we have a contact," Lieutenant Quan Park said from his station. His fingers moved quickly across the controls. Something big just appeared near the fourth moon. Very big. Hyundai felt his stomach tighten. "How big?" "Twice the size of our ship, sir." "Maybe 3 times. Quan's face went pale as more data appeared on his screen. "Captain, it's not one of ours. It's alien." The bridge went silent. Everyone stopped what they were doing. For a moment, nobody moved or breathed. Humanity had searched for alien life for centuries. Now, finally, they had found it. Or it had found them. "Open all channels," Hyundai ordered. "Let's try to talk to them." Dr. Yuna Lee rushed to the communication station. She was the xenobiologist, the expert on alien life. She had spent her whole career preparing for this moment. Her hand shook as she activated the transmission systems. "This is the human vessel Taiguk," she said clearly. "We come in peace. We are explorers from the planet Earth. Can you understand us?" For 10 long seconds, there was nothing. Then the speakers crackled to life. Strange sounds came through, like metal scraping against stone mixed with bird songs. It was not any language humans had ever heard. The computer tried to analyze it but found no patterns it recognized. Then, suddenly, the alien voice changed. It began speaking in broken English. "Human, Earth, these words not in galactic records. You are unknown. This is violation of Imperial law." Hyundai stepped forward. "Imperial law? We didn't know there was an empire. We're new to space travel. We mean no harm. Can we meet to discuss this peacefully?" "Peaceful discussion not authorized for unrecorded species," the alien voice said. Its tone was flat, almost bored. "You are database error. Database errors must be corrected. Prepare for pacification." Dr. Yuna Lee turned to the captain, her eyes wide with fear. "Captain, I think pacification means they're going to attack us." "Shields up," Hyundai ordered. "Quan, what are they doing?" Lieutenant Quan Park checked his sensors. "Their weapons are charging, sir. Some kind of energy beam. It will hit us in 90 seconds. Hyundai's mind raced. They had come here in peace. They had done nothing wrong. Now these aliens were going to kill them just because they were not in some computer system? It was insane. But he had 2,000 people depending on him. He had to protect them. "Can we run?" he asked. "Not fast enough," Quan said. "They'll shoot us before we can jump to FTL. Then we have no choice." Hyundai pressed the button for the ship-wide announcement. "All hands, battle stations. I repeat, battle stations. This is not a drill. The Taiguk had weapons, but they were simple. Humanity had built them for defending against asteroids and space pirates, not for fighting aliens with energy beams. They had railguns that shot metal slugs at incredible speed. They had fusion missiles left over from Earth's old military. Nothing fancy. Nothing the scientists back home would call advanced. "Target their weapons," Hyundai ordered. "Fire everything." The Taiguk shook as the railguns fired. Streams of metal slugs shot across space at thousands of meters per second. The alien ship's shields flickered and glowed. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then one of the shield emitters exploded in a shower of sparks. The shields collapsed on one side of the alien vessel. "Their shields are down on the port side," Quan shouted. "How did we do that?" "I don't know, but keep firing." More railgun rounds hammered into the alien ship. Metal tore through their hull like paper. The aliens had clearly never faced simple kinetic weapons before. Their shields were designed for energy attacks, not for chunks of metal moving at hypersonic speeds. Launch missiles, Hyundai ordered. 6 fusion missiles streaked toward the alien ship. These were old weapons from Earth's wars, before humanity had united. Each missile carried a small nuclear explosion. The aliens tried to shoot them down with their beam weapons, but the missiles were too small and too fast. 5 of them hit the alien ship directly. The explosions were bright even through the bridge windows. The alien vessel broke apart in the middle. Atmosphere vented into space. Fires burned inside the broken hull. Within seconds, the ship was dead in space. A broken wreck. "Captain, we're receiving a final transmission from them," Dr. Unili said quietly. The alien voice came through one last time, weak and filled with static. "Unknown species, impossible. Destroyed destroyer-class vessel. Transmitting coordinates to Central Command. Warning the Empire." Then there was silence. Hyundai sat down in his captain's chair. His hands were shaking. They had just killed aliens. Real aliens. Beings from another world. And according to that last message, more were coming. "Get me a line to Earth," he said quietly. "We need to warn them. We just started a war." Down on New Jeju, the colonists watched the sky. They had seen the flashes of light in orbit. They did not yet know that humanity's dream of peaceful first contact had just died among the stars. They did not know that the Galactic Empire was about to learn a hard lesson. Some species in the galaxy fought with grace and honor. Some fought with advanced technology and careful tactics. Humans fought like cornered animals with whatever weapons they had. And cornered animals were the most dangerous creatures in the universe. The message to Earth would take days to arrive. In the meantime, Captain Hyundai looked at the wreckage of the alien ship and wondered what kind of empire would try to kill people just for not being in their records. He wondered how many ships they had. He wondered if humanity could survive what was coming. Deep in space, the alien distress signal traveled faster than light, racing toward the heart of the Galactic Empire. It carried a warning that would change the galaxy forever. Somewhere in the darkness, something was out there that should not exist. Something dangerous. Something human. The message reached Nexus Prime 12 days after the Taigak destroyed the Valorian destroyer. Nexus Prime was the capital of the Galactic Empire, a massive space station the size of a moon. Billions of beings from 1,000 different species lived and worked there. For 40,000 years, the Empire had kept peace across the galaxy through one simple method. They knew everything about everyone. Grand Archivist Velthun was having a very bad day. He was a Korthan, a species that looked like giant blue mantises and were famous for their perfect memory. His job was to maintain the Imperial records, the massive database that contained information about every planet, every species, and every civilization in the known galaxy. The records had never been wrong before until today. "Search again," demanded Fleet Master Zero. The Valorian commander was tall and covered in purple scales. His 3 eyes glowed with anger. "One of my ships is destroyed. The crew is dead. And you tell me the attackers do not exist?" Velthun's antenna twitched nervously. "I have searched 17 times, Fleet Master. There is no record of any species called humans. There is no record of any planet called Earth. The coordinates from your ship's last message point to Sector 447, which was surveyed 50,000 years ago and declared sterile. No life above the bacterial level. Then your records are wrong." "The records are never wrong," Velthun said, but his voice was uncertain. "The records are perfect. We have cataloged everything for 40 millennia. Fleet Master Zero slammed his clawed hand on the desk. My ship is scrap metal because of your perfect records. These humans have weapons we have never seen. They destroyed a destroyer-class vessel in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That should be impossible for an uncontacted species. On Earth, billions of light years away, panic had a different flavor. Admiral Jin Cho stood in the command center deep beneath the mountains of Korea. Around him, screens showed every human ship in space. There were 30 of them. 30 ships to defend humanity against an empire that spanned the galaxy. It's not enough, said Hana Kim. The young intelligence analyst had been working without sleep for days, trying to decode the alien signals they had intercepted. Admiral, I've broken some of their communications. The Empire has millions of ships, millions, and they're calling us a database error. Admiral Jin Cho was an old man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had fought in Earth's last war 30 years ago, before humanity united. He knew what it meant to face impossible odds. What else did you learn? He asked calmly. Hannah pulled up her notes. The species that attacked us are called Valorians. They're not even the Empire's main military. They're more like space police. The real military is much stronger. An admiral. She paused, her voice shaking. They're sending a fleet to New Jeju. 50 ships. Maybe more. When? 2 weeks. Maybe less. Jin Cho nodded slowly. Then we have 2 weeks to prepare. Get me the president. And start moving every ship we have toward New Jeju. Every single one. Admiral, that will leave Earth defenseless. If we lose New Jeju, Earth is next anyway. Better to fight them there, where we might have a chance. He looked at the young analyst. What else, Hana? I can see you're holding something back. Hannah bit her lip. The Empire's database has records of every war, every battle, every combat technique ever used in the galaxy. For 40,000 years. They know how everyone fights. They know what weapons everyone uses. They know what tactics work and what tactics fail. But they don't know us, Jin Cho said quietly. Exactly. We're not in their system. We're the only species in the entire galaxy that they don't have information on. Admiral, I think that terrifies them more than our weapons do. Back on Nexus Prime, the High Council was meeting. 12 beings from 12 different species sat in a circle. High Counselor Rixana, an elegant being made of living crystal, called the meeting to order. We face an unprecedented situation, Rixana said. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. An entire spacefaring species has appeared from nowhere. They have destroyed one of our vessels. They did not appear in any of our records. This has never happened before in the entire history of the Empire. We must destroy them, Fleet Master Zur growled. Send the full might of the Imperial fleet. Turn their worlds to ash. Make an example of them. That may be premature, said another counselor. What if they are somehow more advanced than us? What if they have technology we do not understand? They used primitive kinetic weapons. Sir shouted. Metal slugs and nuclear missiles. Things we stopped using 10,000 years ago. And yet those primitive weapons destroyed your ship, Rixana said quietly. How? Nobody had an answer to that. Grand Archivist Volthon spoke up nervously. High Counselor, I believe I may know why we have no records of them. The sector where they were found was surveyed 50,000 years ago by the Vorthan expedition. The Vorthans declared it sterile and never checked it again. If life evolved there after that survey, then we missed an entire species because of old data, Rixana finished. Unacceptable. But it does not answer our main question. What do we do about these humans? Destroy them, Zur said again. I volunteer to lead the fleet personally. 50 ships. I will bring back proof of their extinction. I will bring back proof of their extinction. Rixana was silent for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. Very well. But Fleet Master Zur, use caution. These humans have already surprised us once. Do not let them surprise you again. Study the battle data. Learn from it. And bring me answers. I want to know what we're dealing with before we commit to full war. Zur bowed. As you command, High Counselor. The humans will be nothing but a footnote in the Imperial records when I am finished. On Earth, Ambassador Yongnam was selected to represent humanity to the galaxy. He was a diplomat who had negotiated peace during Earth's unification wars. Now he would try to prevent humanity's extinction. Do you really think they'll listen? Ask Captain Narration. She would be commanding the diplomatic vessel that would eventually take Yang to Nexus Prime. Probably not, Yang said honestly. But we have to try. War with an empire that spans the galaxy? We'll lose. Our only hope is to make them see us as people, not as errors in their computer system. Captain Shin looked at the star charts. If Fleet Master Zur's force arrives at New Jeju before we can talk to them, then Admiral Jin Cho will have to hold them off long enough for us to get a message through. Yang smiled sadly. No pressure, right? Deep in space, 50 Valorian warships gathered. They moved in perfect formation, elegant and deadly. Fleet Master Zur stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the stars. The humans would learn what happened to species that defied the Empire. They would learn what it meant to be on the wrong side of 40,000 years of military tradition. What Zur did not know was that military tradition could become a weakness. When every battle for 40,000 years followed the same patterns, when every species fought the same way, when every tactic was documented and countered, the military became predictable. They became comfortable. Humans had no tradition. They had no documented tactics in the Imperial database. They had no patterns to follow. They only had desperation, creativity, and a stubborn refusal to accept extinction. The fleet jumped to FTL, racing toward New Jeju. Zur smiled, confident in his victory. After all, how dangerous could one unrecorded species really be? He would learn the answer soon enough. Admiral Jin Cho watched 50 alien warships drop out of FTL near New Jeju. His 30 human ships were hidden in the asteroid belt that circled the colony planet. They looked tiny compared to the Valorian fleet. They were tiny, but Jin Cho had learned long ago that size was not everything in war. All ships, this is Admiral Cho. Hold position. Do not fire until I give the order. Repeat, hold position. On the Valorian flagship, Fleet Master Zur studied his sensors. Where are they? The colonists are on the planet's surface. But where are their ships? We detect nothing, Fleet Master, his sensor officer reported. The area appears empty except for the asteroid belt. Then they ran away like cowards, Zur said with satisfaction. Begin planetary bombardment. Destroy their colony. Send a message to the rest of their species about the price of attacking the Empire. The Valorian ships moved into a standard bombardment formation. They had done this 1,000 times on 1,000 worlds. It was routine, practiced, perfect. Their weapons charged, preparing to rain fire on the colony below. Now, Admiral Jin Cho said quietly, the asteroids came alive. What Zur had thought were rocks were actually human ships covered in metal plates to hide their heat signatures. 30 vessels burst from hiding, their engines flaring bright. But they did not charge the Valorian fleet. Instead, they scattered in all directions, moving in wild, unpredictable patterns. Contact. Multiple contacts. The Valorian sensor officer shouted. They're everywhere. Zur snarled. All ships, defensive formation. Fire at will. The Valorian ships moved into their standard defensive pattern, a sphere that provided overlapping fields of fire. It was a formation documented in the Imperial records as being effective, against 99.7% of all known attack strategies. The records said so. The records did not account for humans. Commander Taesong led the fighter wing. 20 small ships, each barely larger than a truck, screamed through space at speeds that should have torn them apart. They were too small for the Valorian sensors to track properly, too fast for the Valorian weapons to target. And they carried weapons that made no sense. "Break and attack," Tae shouted. His fighters split up, diving toward the Valorian fleet from 20 different angles. The Valorians tried to shoot them down, but their targeting systems kept losing lock. These tiny craft moved like nothing in the database. They jinked and weaved, rolled and spiraled, following no tactical pattern at all. Because there was no pattern. Each pilot was flying by instinct, making it up as they went along. Tae's fighter dove under a Valorian cruiser and fired. His weapon was simple, brutally simple. It was a modified mining laser and a rack of metal spikes accelerated by magnetic coils. The laser cut through the cruiser's shield emitter. The metal spikes punched through the damaged section and into the ship's reactor. The cruiser exploded. "One down." Tae laughed. "Who's next?" Engineer Mirabe watched from the bridge of the human cruiser Sejong. Her experimental shield system was active, and it was working better than she had hoped. The Valorian energy beams hit the shields and scattered in random directions, dissipating harmlessly into space. "How are you doing this?" Captain Hande asked. He was commanding the Sejong now, promoted after his actions on the Taeguk. "Their shields work by deflecting energy," Myra explained while checking her readouts. "Ours work by absorbing it and converting it to other forms. Different physics, different principles. Their weapons are calibrated to break their type of shields, not ours." A Valorian beam hit the Sejong dead on. The shields glowed bright blue, but held. The beam's energy was converted to light and heat and bled off into space. "Return fire," Hande ordered. The Sejong's railguns fired. 40 tons of tungsten slugs crossed space at incredible velocity and slammed into a Valorian destroyer. The destroyer's shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid matter moving at thousands of meters per second. The slugs punched straight through and ripped the ship apart from the inside. Fleet. Master Zier could not believe what he was seeing. His fleet was being torn apart by primitives, by species that used weapons 10,000 years out of date. It was impossible. The database said it was impossible. All ships, concentrated fire. Target the largest human vessel. The Valorian fleet focused their beams on Admiral Jin Cho's flagship. 20 ships fired at once. The combined energy was enough to vaporize a moon. But the human ship did not die. Instead, it did something that made Zer's blood run cold. It jumped to FTL, inside a gravity well, inside the planet's gravitational field. That was impossible. Every species in the galaxy knew you could not jump to FTL near a large mass. The gravitational forces would tear a ship apart, but the human flagship disappeared in a flash of twisted light. "Where did it go?" Zer demanded. "I don't know." Sensors lost it completely. The flagship reappeared 3 seconds later, behind the Valorian fleet. It had jumped only a short distance, something like a hop instead of a long journey. And it appeared right behind Zer's command ship. "Impossible," Zer whispered. Admiral Jin Cho smiled grimly. "Fire all weapons." The flagship's railguns, missiles, and laser cannons all fired at once at point-blank range into the rear of Zer's command ship. The unshielded engine section exploded. The ship began to break apart. On the dying command ship, Zer finally understood. These humans did not know the rules. They did not know what was possible and what was impossible. So they did impossible things. Their FTL drive worked on different principles. Their shields used different physics. Their tactics followed no pattern because they had no history of war in space to learn from. They were making it all up as they went along, and it was working. "Retreat," Zer gasped, his ship's atmosphere venting around him. "All ships, retreat." "Jump to." The command ship exploded before he could finish the order. The Valorian fleet broke. After losing their commander and 15 ships in 20 minutes, they panicked. Ships jumped to FTL in all directions, fleeing from the system. Only 3 made it out. The rest were destroyed as they tried to escape, their engines vulnerable as they charged their FTL drives. Commander Taesong chased down the last fleeing cruiser and put a missile through its engine. The ship went dark, drifting dead in space. All enemy ships destroyed or retreating. Quan Park reported from his new post on the flagship. "Admiral, we won." Admiral Jin Cho looked at the wreckage floating in space. 17 Valorian ships destroyed. 3 escaped. Of the human fleet, they had lost 8 ships and 400 crew members. It was a victory, but it tasted bitter. "Get search and rescue teams out there," Jin Cho ordered. "Save everyone you can, human and alien both. And someone get me a casualty report." On New Jeju, the colonists emerged from their shelters and looked up at the sky. They had felt the ground shake from the explosions in orbit. Now they saw the debris burning up in the atmosphere. Streaks of fire across the night sky. Dr. Yuna Lee stood with them, tears running down her face. They had won. Humanity had won its first space battle. But she wondered what the cost would be. The 3 Valorian ships that escaped would report back to the Empire. They would tell the story of how humans fought. They would spread fear. And the Empire would come back with more ships next time. "We bought ourselves some time," Admiral Jin Cho said to his officers. "But this is just the beginning. They'll come again with a bigger fleet. We need to prepare Earth's defenses. We need to build more ships. And we need to find a way to talk to them before they bring an army we can't defeat." Engineer Mirabe spoke up. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the wreckage. Their technology is more advanced than ours in some ways. If we can study it, learn from it, maybe combine it with our own approach." "Do it," Jin Cho said. "We need every advantage we can get." In the ruins of a Valorian ship, the black box recorder still functioned. It had captured everything. The entire battle. The impossible tactics. The weapons that should not work. The FTL jump that defied physics. All of it was recorded and transmitted back to the Empire before the ship died. On Nexus Prime, Grand Archivist Velthun watched the battle footage with growing horror. He watched human ships do things that were supposed to be impossible. He watched the Valorian fleet, with all its tradition and experience, fall apart against an enemy that fought without rules. "Update the records," he whispered. "Add a new entry. Species: human, homeworld, Earth. Classification: extreme danger. Approach with caution. Do not engage without full Imperial authority." For the first time in 40,000 years, the Galactic Empire was afraid. The emergency session of the High Council began in chaos. Representatives from 50 species shouted at each other while holographic displays showed the battle. Footage from New Jeju over and over. High Counselor Rixana tried to restore order, but nobody was listening. "This is a threat to the entire Empire." A counselor screamed. "We must mobilize the full fleet." How did we not know about them? What else is out there that we do not know about? That last question brought silence. It was the question everyone feared. For 40,000 years, the Empire had believed they knew everything. Now that belief was shattered. If humans could hide from them, what else was hidden? Grand Archivist Velthun stood before the council, looking more tired than any being had ever seen him. "I have completed my investigation," he said quietly. The humans evolved in Sector 447, which we surveyed 50,000 years ago. At that time, the star system contained no planet suitable for complex life. We marked it as sterile and never returned. So we missed them? Roxana asked. Not exactly. 50,000 years ago, there were no humans. They evolved after we checked. We made a decision long ago not to resurvey systems because it was too expensive and time-consuming. We assumed nothing would change. We were wrong. An older counselor, a being that looked like a floating brain in a tank, spoke up. This means our entire database could be incomplete. There could be hundreds of species we do not know about. Thousands even. Panic spread through the chamber again. The Empire's strength came from information. Without complete information, they were vulnerable. For the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Empire felt fear. On Earth, President Wu Kang addressed humanity. Every screen on the planet showed his face. Every person stopped what they were doing to listen. My fellow humans, he began. 2 weeks ago, we made first contact with alien life. It did not go as we hoped. They attacked us without provocation. Our brave defenders at New Jeju fought back and won. But this is not a time for celebration. The empire we face controls thousands of star systems. They have resources we can only dream of. And they are afraid of us. He paused, letting that sink in. Fear makes empires dangerous. They may decide that the safest thing to do is destroy us completely. Or they may decide to talk. Ambassador Yong Nam will be traveling to the Empire's capital to try to open negotiations. In the meantime, we must prepare. Every ship we can build, we will build. Every defense we can create, we will create. We will not go quietly into extinction. Humanity will survive. In the shipyards orbiting Earth and Mars, construction went into overdrive. Every factory that could make parts for ships was converted. Every engineer who understood spacecraft design was recruited. Humanity was building a fleet. Admiral Nari Choi was put in charge of Earth's defense. She was younger than Jin Cho, but just as sharp. She looked at the blueprints for the new ships and shook her head. We're making the same mistake the Empire makes, she told her engineers. We are copying what we know. We need to innovate. We need to surprise them again. Engineer Mirabe, brought back from New Jeju to help, understood. You want us to make ships that break the rules. Exactly. The Empire expects us to follow certain patterns now that they have seen us fight once. We need to do things they do not expect. Again. Dr. Rina Co., a physicist who had been studying the captured alien technology, had an idea. What if we do not make ships at all? What if we turn the moon into a weapon? Everyone stared at her. Explain, Admiral Nari Choi said. The aliens use energy weapons. Big, powerful beams. Those beams need to dissipate their waste heat somehow. I studied their wrecked ships. They use radiators. Lots of them. But what if we hit them with so much energy that their radiators cannot keep up? What if we overload their systems? A weapon that makes them overheat themselves? Myra said slowly. That is insane. I love it. On the diplomatic ship Aurora, Ambassador Yong Nam prepared for his journey. Captain Era Shin was personally training with her crew to make sure everything went perfectly. One mistake could mean war. Do you think they will listen? Era asked Yong for the 10th time. I think some of them want to listen, Yong said carefully. The problem is that some of them want us dead. We need to reach the ones who want to talk before the others can stop us. The Aurora was small but fast. It carried no weapons, only a white flag of truce transmitted on every frequency. It also carried something more important. A data package containing everything about humanity. Music, art, science, history. Everything that made humans who they were. If they kill us, Yang said quietly, At least they will know what they destroyed. The journey to Nexus Prime took 3 weeks. During that time, the Empire tore itself apart with debate. Counselors argued. Military leaders demanded action. Scientists wanted to study the humans. Philosophers questioned everything the Empire believed. Hannah Kim, still on Earth analyzing alien communications, picked up a disturbing signal. Admiral Choi, we have a problem. I am detecting movement from multiple Empire fleets. They are gathering near Sector 340. That is only 2 jumps from Earth. How many ships? Nari asked, her stomach sinking. 200. Maybe more. Admiral, I think the hardliners in the Empire are planning a surprise attack. They are not waiting for the Council's decision. Nari immediately activated the emergency protocols. Get me the President, and activate every defense system we have built. If they want to fight, we will give them one they will never forget. On Nexus Prime, High Counselor Rixana was having her own problems. She had discovered the secret fleet being assembled by the hardliners. A group of military commanders were planning to attack Earth without authorization. They believed that a quick, overwhelming strike would end the human problem. You cannot do this, she told them in a private meeting. The Council must decide together. That is our law. The law was written for a galaxy we understood, one of the commanders said. These humans are different. They are dangerous. Every day we wait, they grow stronger. We must act now. And if you fail? Rixana asked. They already destroyed a fleet of 50 ships. What makes you think 200 will be enough? Because we have studied them now. We know their tactics. We will not make the same mistakes Zir made. Rixana realized she could not stop them through argument. She needed help. She needed someone who understood humans. When the Aurora arrived at Nexus Prime, Ambassador Yong Nam expected to be arrested or turned away. Instead, High Counselor Rixana herself met him at the docking bay. Ambassador Yong, she said through her translator, we have much to discuss and very little time. My empire is about to attack your home world. I need you to help me stop it. Yong stared at her. Why would you help us? Because I have watched the battle recordings 100 times. I have read Grand Archivist Velthun's reports. I have studied your culture from the data in our database. And I have come to a conclusion. What conclusion? That we started this war. We attacked you without even trying to understand you. We assumed you were just another primitive species to be controlled. We were wrong. And more importantly, she paused, her crystalline body pulsing with light. I am afraid that if we try to destroy you, you will find a way to destroy us instead. Your species does not give up. You do not follow the rules. And that terrifies me more than I can say. So what do we do? Yang asked. We have maybe 3 days before the attack fleet arrives at Earth. In that time, I need you to help me convince the Council to recall them. I need you to speak to the representatives of 1,000 species and make them see humans as people, not as database errors. Yang took a deep breath. No pressure then. Ambassador, Rixana said seriously. If you fail, both our peoples may be extinct by the end of the week. The hardliners will attack Earth. If your Admiral Choi defeats them, she will probably not stop at defense. She will chase them back here. And then we will have a war that consumes the entire galaxy. Then I better not fail, Yang said with more confidence than he felt. The clock was ticking. 200 warships were on their way to Earth, and one human diplomat had 3 days to prevent the end of 2 civilizations. Ambassador Yong Nam stood before the High Council of the Galactic Empire. 1,000 eyes, in all shapes and sizes, watched him from the gallery. Some looked curious. Some looked afraid. Some looked angry. He had one chance to get this right. I am here because your ships attacked us first, he began. We came to New Jeju in peace. We built a colony. We harmed no one. And you tried to kill us just because we were not in your records." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Some counselors looked uncomfortable. They had seen the recordings. They knew he was telling the truth. "But I am not here to point fingers," Yang continued. "I am here to prevent a disaster. Your military is sending 200 ships to attack Earth. My people have prepared defenses. And when your ships arrive, thousands will die on both sides. Maybe millions. Is that really what you want?" "What we want is security," a counselor shouted. "You are unknown. You are unpredictable. You fight in ways that make no sense." "Yes," Yang said simply. "We do. Because we do not know your rules. We learned to fight in space by ourselves, without any guidance. We made it up as we went. Is that really a crime worthy of extinction?" High Counselor Rixana spoke. "Ambassador Yang speaks the truth. We attacked them first. Everything they have done since then has been self-defense. The law of the Empire says that all species have the right to defend themselves. They are not part of the Empire." Another counselor argued. "The law does not apply to them." "Then make them part of the Empire," Rixana said. "Add them to the records officially. Give them the same rights as every other species. Or are we so afraid that we must destroy everyone we do not understand?" The debate raged for hours. Meanwhile, in space, the attack fleet drew closer to Earth's solar system. Admiral Nari Choi watched them come on her sensors. 200 ships. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever faced. "All defensive positions, report status," she ordered. "Moon base at full power," came the report. "Mars stations ready. Orbital platforms ready. All ships in position." Admiral Nari Choi had spent every day since the Battle of New Jeju preparing for this moment. The moon had been transformed. Hidden underneath the gray dust were 50 massive energy collectors and projectors. Dr. Rina Sio's mad idea had been built. The moon was now one giant weapon. "Let them come close," Nari ordered. "We hit them all at once or not at all." On Nexus Prime, Ambassador Yang was losing the debate. Too many counselors were afraid. Too many wanted the simple solution of destroying humanity before they became a bigger threat. Then Dr. Yuna Lee's data package started playing on the main screen. Music from Earth filled the chamber. Art from every human culture appeared. Poetry, science, mathematics, philosophy. The counselors fell silent, watching humanity's story unfold. "This is what you will destroy," Yang said quietly. "Not database errors. Not statistics. People. We have children who want to grow up. We have artists who want to create. We have scientists who want to discover. We have dreams. Just like you." An old counselor, one of the oldest beings in the Empire, stood up slowly. "I remember when my people joined the Empire. We were afraid too. We thought we would lose our identity. But we gained so much more. We gained friends, partners, a place in something bigger than ourselves." He looked at Yang. "I vote to recall the fleet. I vote to offer humanity membership in the Empire. Not as subjects. As equals." One by one, other counselors stood. Not all of them, but enough. High Counselor Rixana's voice rang out like crystal bells. "The council has spoken. Send the recall order immediately." But in space, something had gone wrong. The attack fleet had jumped to FTL early. They were ignoring the recall order. The hardliners had planned for this. They had chosen commanders who would not back down, no matter what the council said. 200 ships dropped out of FTL near Earth. Admiral Nari Choi saw them and felt her heart sink. "So many. Too many." "Admiral, we are being hailed," her communications officer said. A face appeared on the screen. It was not human. It was not friendly. Attention, primitive species. You are hereby sentenced to extinction for crimes against the Galactic Empire. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and Admiral Nari Choi cut the transmission. Light them up. The moon came alive. 50 projectors fired at once, bathing the attack fleet in concentrated energy. But this was not a weapon meant to destroy. It was a weapon meant to blind. Every sensor on every alien ship overloaded at once. They could not see. They could not target. They could not coordinate. They were flying blind. Phase 2, Nari ordered. Mars launched 1,000 small drones. Earth's orbital platforms released swarms of missiles. And hidden among the asteroids, 30 human warships opened fire with railguns and lasers. The alien fleet tried to fight back, but they could not see their enemies. Their weapons fired randomly into space. Their shields were designed for energy weapons, not for the metal slugs that punched through their hulls. Their advanced targeting computers were useless when they could not detect anything. In 15 minutes, half the alien fleet was destroyed or crippled. The rest tried to retreat. Let them go, Admiral Nari Choi ordered. We have made our point. On the bridge of the alien flagship, the commander finally received a recall order from Nexus Prime. He looked at the wreckage of his fleet and understood. The Council had been right to recall them. The humans were not weak. They were terrifying. All ships, retreat to Nexus Prime, he said quietly. Tell the Council. Tell them we failed. Of the 200 ships that attacked Earth, only 30 made it back. Not a single human ship was lost. On Nexus Prime, the news of the defeat silenced even the most aggressive counselors. High Counselor Rixana looked at Ambassador Yong with something like respect. It seems you do not need our protection, Ambassador. You can protect yourselves quite well. Yang nodded. But we do not want to be your enemies. We want to be your friends. We want to learn from you, trade with you, explore the galaxy with you. Is that really so impossible? Rixana stood and addressed the entire council. I propose a new category in the Imperial records. Not subjects, not enemies, partners, species who are recognized as equals with full rights and representation in the council. And I propose that humanity be the first species in this new category. The vote was not unanimous. Some counselors still feared humanity, but enough voted yes that it passed. Welcome to the Galactic Empire, Ambassador Yong Nam, Rixana said. As an equal partner, may this be the beginning of a long and peaceful relationship. 3 months later, Captain Hana Kim commanded the exploration vessel Discovery. She had been promoted after her intelligence work helped Earth prepare for the attacks. Now she was leading humanity's first mission to explore unknown space. Captain, I am picking up signals, her communications officer said. They are not from any known species in the Empire's database. Hannah smiled. After everything that had happened, after all the battles and fear, the Empire had learned a valuable lesson. The galaxy was bigger than their records, more complex than their database, and there were still surprises waiting in the dark. Change course toward the signal, she ordered. And this time, let us introduce ourselves properly. No weapons, no threats, just a friendly hello. On Earth, President Wu Kang addressed humanity again. 3 months ago, we faced extinction. Today, we are members of a galactic civilization. We have friends among the stars. We have a future beyond our solar system. And we learned something important. When you fight for your survival with everything you have, when you refuse to give up, when you do the impossible, sometimes you win. In the Imperial records, Grand Archivist Volthan made a new entry. Species, human, home world, Earth, classification, partner species, status, full council membership. Special note: approaches problems from unique perspectives. Combat doctrine unpredictable but effective. Technology based on alternative physical principles. Recommend cooperative research agreements. Warning: do not threaten or attack without extreme provocation. Defense capabilities exceed initial assessments. Cultural note: values freedom and independence highly. Respect these values in all interactions. He paused, then added one final note. Personal observation: the Empire spent 40,000 years believing we knew everything. Humanity taught us that there is always more to learn. Perhaps that is their greatest gift to us. On New Jeju, the colonists looked up at the night sky. New ships arrived every day, bringing more settlers from Earth. Alien ships came too, bringing traders and diplomats and curious visitors. The colony that had nearly been destroyed was now the hub of human-alien relations. Dr. Yuna Lee stood with Captain Hyundai and watched an alien merchant ship land. It was carrying goods from a dozen different worlds to trade with humans. "We did it," she said quietly. "We survived. We made friends. We found our place in the galaxy." Hyundai smiled. "And we did it by being exactly what we are. Unpredictable. Stubborn. Human. Do you think there will be more conflicts?" Yuna asked. "Probably. The galaxy is a big place. But now we have allies. Now we have friends. Now we are not alone. And that makes all the difference." Far out in deep space, beyond the edge of the Empire's explored territory, the Discovery found the source of the unknown signals. It was a small colony on a distant moon. Another species. Another civilization that the Empire had missed.